Now I'm going to provide you with a really quick demonstration for how this entire DealerPulse workflow works out. So in this particular case, we have a sales and CPO transaction that occurred. And let's say my name is Janice. I am the delivery specialist at a Chevy dealership. And at the time that I'm delivering the vehicle, thanking the customer, I'm also going to let them know that, hey, thanks so much again for the business. You know, we're going to have a really quick survey. It takes under 2 minutes to complete. This will be waiting in your inbox by the time you get to the car. It would mean a lot to us if you could fill this out for us, just so that we, understand how to better serve your needs in the future. So Janice would just go in, and in this case, the customer's name is Greg Kaufman. So she's just going to plug in a couple of fields that are required: customer name, customer email address, the vehicle brand that the customer purchased, what on this new or used lot was a Chevy. I'm going to put that in there, and then confirmation on the purchase date, which is variable as well. Okay, so again, now she's going to let the customer know, by the time you get to your car, you'll have this email survey invite, and it would mean a lot. So we go over here to our inbox, and you can see that in near real time, Greg has now received the sales survey invitation. And you could see here, we've piped in some information that Janice plugged in to legitimize the contact for the customer. So your recent Chevrolet purchase or lease experience at, and then the name of the dealership would be piped in as well. We have a short survey invitation, basically explaining the purpose of the engagement and how it'll help serve, their needs better in the future. And then upon a quick one click, the customer can sit in the car in real time and essentially provide really quick feedback to the dealership. So the first thing we were going to do here is obviously legitimize the fact that, screen to make sure that this person did in fact purchase a Chevy. Then we're going to use our Net Promoter Plus. It's called NPS Plus. It's a really brief and comprehensive way to understand and get a barometer on the health of the customer based on their experiences with your dealership. So on a 0 to 10 point scale, we're going to ask them, considering their overall experience with your dealership, how likely would they be to recommend the dealership to a friend or colleague? And in this case, just for demo's sake, I'm going to just say it was a bad experience. I'm going to give it a 2 on a 0 to 10 scale. The second part of NPS Plus is that we want to identify, what is that key driver that really is responsible for the score that you gave. So in this particular case, I'm going to just say that it was the respect for my time. It just took way too long, and it didn't seem like they cared. So show more respect for my time. It took 7 hours to purchase. Okay, so now we've captured that information to complete Net Promoter Plus. Now we're just going to ask a very small battery of questions just so that the dealership understands kind of diagnostically what transpired during that transaction that day. So we have just a couple of questions on a scale of poor to excellent. Dealership appearance and amenities, we're going to say that was excellent. The variety and presentation of inventory, oh, that was pretty poor based on the current state of affairs. Courtesy of the dealership staff, well, it was kind of below average. It took too long. Effectiveness utilizing tablets and electronic devices. We know this is a big kind of move the industry shifted towards. So we're going to say, yes, they were excellent with that. The sales consultant consideration for my time. Oh, nope, that's the reason I'm upset. Negotiation process was clear and efficient. Yeah, that was okay. And vehicle was delivered in showroom condition. Yep, that was excellent. Okay, so now we've just captured a couple of bits of information. We're going to say, overall, we were unsatisfied because it just took 7 hours to buy the car. Okay, so because we were a detractor on the Net Promoter Plus question, there's going to be an opt-in question to say, essentially, can somebody from the dealership contact you based on your experience today? So in the event that a individual says yes by phone, by email, or by email only, as long as they opt in some way, shape, or form, that's going to trigger a hot alert that's going to go directly to the empowered person at the dealership to resolve that issue. So here I'm going to just confirm my contact information in the event that the dealer doesn't want to get back in touch. And that's it. The survey is complete. Again, under 2 minutes, we've captured enough information for the dealer personnel, in this case, because it was a detractor, to understand, okay, what was the nature of the problem, so that I'm armed with that intel before I reach back out and try to solve the issue for the customer. Okay, so now, as you could see in my inbox, I am now, let's say Greg again, but I'm a dealer personnel at the Chevy dealer. And in this case now, we've had a customer in real time sitting in their car, has informed us that they had a poor experience. And now, being the empowered person at the dealership to review this and determine whether there's something maybe actionable that I can do by an outreach to the customer, I have all the information that I require, knowing exactly how they scored on each of the elements, as you could see here. And this way I have a ledger of information and confirmation on how to contact that customer in hopes that I can resolve that issue in a timely fashion. Okay, so that is the survey and essentially the workflow for how everything works with DealerPulse. Okay, so now for a really quick demo on the back end for how the dealer would ingest or consume the insights that come from the surveys. So as I had shown, the intake form was completed, the real-time survey was sent out to the customer, the survey was quickly completed by the customer, and now in real time, the moment that information is submitted by the customer, it's going to reflect and be updated in a series of dashboards that we have built out of the box here, essentially for the dealerships, so that you don't have to build this. And so what you're looking at is essentially the Net Promoter Score aggregated up. You can see how Net Promoter is trending over time. We can also see how engaged they are with the survey process, what the response rates are, what the completion rates are looking like. Then we also have basically a Net Promoter display. But beyond that, you may recall that we talked about what was the key driver for why you gave the rating you did. So as you can see down here below, we kind of parse out the promoters from the passives and the detractors. So here on the left, you could see that those folks that are promoters for your dealership are basically stating these reasons. Here in this case, with this faux data, you could see explanation of service. More important, however, over here on the right-hand side, we have the passives and the detractors. And what you're looking at here are the key reasons that people are either detractors or passives to your dealership. And what you really want to pay attention to are the folks in yellow, because these are the people on the fence. They're more passive, but based on the data pattern and how they've answered in a similar fashion to how many of the detractors had in fact answered. Therefore, these are the folks you really want to make sure that you're engaging with and staying on top of and keeping satisfied. Otherwise, they run a real risk of falling into the detractor bucket, essentially. So that's essentially what the dashboards look like. We designed it to be very straightforward and simple. We did not want to overcomplicate matters, but just give the folks at the dealership kind of an understanding of, high level, how are we doing with respect to Net Promoter and the various, diagnostic questions that we asked. And then what I would say is the most important value proposition for the entire DealerPulse is this. This is the action alerting ledger that we are collecting in real time to provide the folks at the dealership with an understanding on a daily basis of which customers in fact have scored as a detractor, meaning that they're at risk for not sticking with your dealership. And they've also opted in for a possible recontact from somebody at the dealership to help resolve the issue. As I had mentioned earlier, even if you make an attempt to solve their problem, that's likely going to bode very well for you overall, even if you're not 100% able to resolve their particular problem. We all know there are complaints and issues that come in from customers that simply can't be fixed, but nonetheless, taking the proactive action to engage with that customer and kind of talk through matters with them could really go a long way. And in many cases, you're actually going to have low-hanging fruit, just really quick fixes that are going to really matter a lot to your customer. Okay, so as you can see here, up above, we've got essentially kind of an overview of the number of new cases that have been generated, the number that have been escalated, the number that have been resolved, so on and so forth. You can see we have a color coding system based on the level of priority, whether it's critical or a low kind of value with respect to priority. You have all the information that you need to know to understand who this individual is. And then of course we have an edit feature, which allows you to go in and basically put in comments about actions that might have been taken. You can escalate or de-escalate. You can denote whether a case has been closed, and if so, you just go ahead and note it as resolved, and that will update in your ribbon up above. And essentially, this is the management tool that we designed to be very, very straightforward and simple, so that you can have somebody at the dealership, maybe spending an hour per day, just kind of going through, depending on your volumes, and going through here and just reviewing cases and determining which customers are good candidates to re-engage with. Okay, so that is a high-level overview of what comes out of the box for DealerPulse reporting. And now I'm going to just review a little bit about what is included with a DealerPulse subscription.